so cute.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Dalian Reads video where we will be discussing with you a new book. So the book of the week was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it is a bunch of chapters with different stories. This was originally a play and then it became a novel, and it is like a bestseller. It's a sensation. So we decided to buddy read it together, and here we are to discuss the book. What did you think of the writing style? I discussed that first.
I think the writing is quite interesting. That was quite a straightforward, kind of simple writing style. Like, it wasn't a writing style that was kind of odd. Especially since this is, I believe it was translated. I'm not sure if it was written in English. It was probably translated from Japanese to English.
Yeah, probably, because it was a play first.
Yeah. So I don't think, and the way that the writing is, it doesn't get lost. It doesn't feel like it's lost. Where some of the books are translated from another language to English, they tend to lose some of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Like, if you read like translated books, you probably know what we're talking about.
But it didn't feel that way in this book. Especially that even like very simple details, like when somebody enters the cafe, it always says clang dong.
Yeah,
like the sound of the bell.
Sound of the bell.
So I think it's very interesting that even that was included in the novel.
Yeah, it was like a little small wonderful detail.
Yeah.
As well as the fact that it was turned from a script to an actual novel.
Yeah.
I don't think many people can do that and actually get away with it, because sometimes plays are hard to make a novel out of.
But at the same time, I think this book was like turning it from a play was easier because it takes place in one setting, and so if you think about it, like they're like, oh, you know what, you have to be in this cafe, you can't leave this cafe,
but we will discuss that in the plot. But he's
so
right.
like the fact that
it's in one setting.
It's in one setting, so they kind of like they did it very well.
They actually did. Yeah. It was brilliant. Let's talk about the plot and the book content. So what did you think of the plot?
I think it's amazing. Like, the plot was very original. The type of book that this is, it's actually called magical realism, where you have like this magical kind of component within a realistic book. So that's very interesting to see the topic of magical realism played within Japanese literature.
Japanese literature is just so amazing and original as well.
It's very fascinating.
Every time we read something from Japanese literature, it's like very original. I have never read anything like it before, and it's just so amazing. Like, remember we buddy read the Cat Chronicles, I think, the Traveling Cat Chronicles, and it was amazing. He's looking for it in the shelves. It's up there, I think. But my point is that Japanese literature is very original. If you're looking for plots that you have never read about before or never thought of before, Japanese literature is for you. As for the plot, there are many stories, as I said, in the book. Each chapter takes us through the life of a character, and they're all connected to each other. And there's like this cafe with a magical chair and a ghost, and the seat that the ghost is seated on, I don't know if I said that correctly. Basically, there's a magical seat with a ghost on it, and whenever the ghost leaves that seat, you can sit there and then either go to the past or the future. It's your choice. Want to add something to that?
I think within the plot, the fact so there are a couple of rules when it comes to time travel.
Yes.
Especially traveling to the past. They don't actually delve into, they do delve into traveling to the future, but that's later on in one of the stories. But I think traveling to the past the plot, like my thoughts, like when I read this, it really, like when I saw this, I was like, this kind of like agrees with me when, you know, when I think of time travel, like, because I feel like if somebody's gonna travel to the past, it's just gonna feel pretty much the way that this book feels. You know, like let's say we're in this room right here.
Yeah.
Like for me, time travel would feel like, okay, you're gonna be confined to one place. The place that you were in when you time travel is the same place that you can just stay in this place.
Yeah. And that's one of the rules, actually.
Yeah,
you
that's
can't leave the chair when you travel in time.
You can't leave the chair. So
if you leave, you're gonna be returned to the present. You're gonna be forced into it.
Yeah, and it's very fascinating to see
it's
it.
So fascinating. Yeah.
Because like for me, I've always had this idea, and then to see that this is actually like in this book.
Yeah.
It was quite.
And I'm like such a fan of time travel stuff. Like I eat that up whenever like I find it in the form of like movies or books or like any other thing. Like I love time travel stuff. I think it's very fascinating. And my question is for you: if you had to pick, would you go to the past or the future? You don't have to say why.
I think probably the past, because like the future, I feel like it would be kind of like scary to find out what would happen.
What would happen?
Especially since, you know, one of the rules is like, oh, you can't change it. Mm-hmm. So it would, like, imagine like I would have this constant anxiety of like, oh my, unless
but
it's something,
you did it, you know?
Unless it's something that's really nice.
Yeah.
Like if I find out something nice, but I'm gonna be constantly like afraid of finding out something that's not good.
Yeah.
So if I find out something that's not good, I'll just be like, oh my god, like this is gonna happen to me, or somebody, it's happened to somebody I love and I can't control it.
Yeah, you're just gonna stress yourself out and be anxious all the time thinking about it.
Yeah.
For me, I would love to go to the past as well. Surprisingly, I would love to go to the past as well. I would love to like see stuff, maybe fix a few things, and say things that I have maybe kept in my heart and never really expressed. Even though I know that's not gonna change anything, but at least my conscience will be clear. And that is very important, to live a calm, happy life, for your conscience to be clear. So yeah, you guys can answer this question as well in the comments below. Where would you go, the past or the future? And you can explain why, or you can keep it to yourself, it's fine. Just answer the question. And
something I found fascinating about the rules as well is the fact that like nothing's gonna change. Like if you go to the past, and even if you talk to somebody you want to talk,
it's gonna remain the same.
Yeah, the present is not gonna change. And one thing that they say, it's like one thing that is explained in the book is that the way that you're not gonna have, nothing's gonna change is because like the fates are gonna make it so that the present stay the same.
Yeah.
So like,
and it's very weird because like in other like time travel stories, usually changes the events of things. Yeah,
like
it's like a butterfly effect.
Yeah, the timeline alters and stuff.
Yeah.
In this
but
one,
in this one, it doesn't. Like, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where like kind of the play aspect of it comes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you know what? We can't change too much.
Yeah.
Because then there'll be some inconsistencies.
Yeah.
So like that's where the play aspect comes along. You know.
Yeah.
And that's where you can tell that, you know, that's where you can see the play in this book.
Yeah.
Like there are aspects of this book where you can actually see the play aspect of it.
Yes, you can totally tell from the plot and the way it's written and the way the story goes. Yeah, that's true. And it is just so interesting. I really loved. I didn't expect this book to go the way it did, but it just keeps surprising you as the plot moves forward and as like the progression of the characters goes on, and when you like enter their lives and see how they're actually intertwined together. Gosh, it's just amazing. What was your favorite story or favorite chapter? Because like there were like what? How many? There were one, two, three, four stories in this. So what was your favorite?
I think it would probably be. I think it's the one called Husband and Wife.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't feel like if I explain it, it'll be like giving.
No, don't explain it. Just tell me which one was your favorite and why. Like briefly.
It was Husband and Wife, I
Yeah.
think, especially with the sickness part
Yeah.
and with.
Made you feel some type of way.
Yeah, I just feel like it was a bit heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Even Mother and Child.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That
Yeah.
was actually my favorite.
Yeah, I feel like Husband and Wife, Mother and Child were my favorite.
Yeah.
And then you have The Lovers. It wasn't.
It was the first.
Yeah, it was the first story. And then there's like the sisters.
The Lovers didn't affect me much, to be honest. It wasn't that emotional.
The Lovers was
punch
not.
me in the gut like a husband and wife or mother and child. Those were like really heart-wrenching.
Mother and Child didn't affect me much.
It
and
did
then,
to me.
No, Mother and Child. I mean, it did. I mean, The Lovers and the sisters. It did.
How rude.
Anyways, The Lovers and the sisters, they were not very much connected. But there was one event actually that was interesting. A girl, travels to the past. She takes a picture with someone.
Oh my god, that's kind of a spoiler though.
And then she reappears.
It's like this complication.
Yeah, and it's like this one event.
Yeah, it was very confusing at
Very
first.
confusing and weird. And then when you find out what it was,
you're like, oh my god.
What?
I was like, oh my god, this makes so much sense now, and it's like very emotional.
I think it doesn't make so much sense because why would she take?
She wants a picture with
that person.
That person, yeah. Okay, so what did we think of the book overall?
I think the book overall was really like, this is great piece of like the genre, especially like since it's like kind of like this connection between like it's like magical realism and because like of this connection between reality as well as like a kind of like a magical aspect of it. I think it's very like original, especially the way that it was executed. Like it wasn't like, oh, there's like kind of this object kind that takes you to the past, but how do you say, like there's nothing that is like that's been done before, you know, like there's always oh, let's say like a time machine. There's no time machine.
It's a very odd way to travel in time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially like the ghost that is seated there and it's just reading all the time, and then when they're like and drinking coffee, of course. That's why it's called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And the reason it is called that is because you have to drink your coffee before it gets cold or you'll be stuck in that chair. So you have to like drink it fast when you're time traveling. And as for that ghost, we have no idea who that girl ghost is, and it has been driving us insane because we want to know who that is.
Yeah, because we don't know actually. But I don't know, maybe we'll find out in the second one.
Yeah, the second book is right there, and we haven't read it yet, but we're planning to read it. And it's just, I think, a bunch of extra stories about the people in this book, maybe, or maybe other stories, I don't know. But I can see that there will be returning characters because like the main characters are inside the cafe, the ones that are running the cafe, and we're very excited about that. There's even a map here about the characters for the people who are confused and can't like place them together. There's like this page, whole page of a map.
Wait, this has a spoiler though. We can't
No, don't like. We're not gonna zoom in. Very exciting. Like we're excited to read that. But yeah, overall the book was amazing. We loved it so much. We definitely recommend this book for the people who are interested in Asian literature, especially Japanese. And if you haven't ventured into a Japanese literature before, this is a great start. It is a short book with a very easy language to go through. You're gonna enjoy it so much.
And we're gonna be back to discuss this one with you
To be continued. Hello and welcome back to the continuation of the review we're making. This is the second book in this duology. It is called Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe. Okay, so why don't you explain to them what went down in this book?
I mean, so many things went down in this book. And we found out a lot of things that we actually kind of guessed them. Should I spoil it for them?
No, don't spoil. Just give them the gist.
Yeah. So and we found out who the woman in the chair is.
Yes, finally we found out who the ghost was.
A lot of events unfold and we can see how so many things are related to each other. How
the connections between the characters.
Yeah, exactly. We can see a lot of connections between the characters. So yeah, all in all, it's a good one.
Do you prefer this one or the previous one?
I preferred the previous one, honestly. But I feel like this one this one had a lot of good stories, but I feel like a lot of parts were unnecessary, and I feel like it could have been summed up much better. Certain stories, but then I feel like if it focused on the story of
that's exactly why I feel like it was a bit underwhelming, because if they only focused on Kazu and her story alongside her cousin and her family in general, if they just focused on their stories, I think this would have been better.
Yeah, exactly.
As a side story to the main book, but this had along their stories, it had other random people's stories mixed in with it, even though it connected somehow, but it felt weak.
Yeah,
to me personally, I just feel and to you as well.
And I feel like one of the good things I feel like is that continuation of what's gonna happen next, what happened, because that's a question that I had. I was what's gonna happen next, after let's say Kazu's let's say Kazu's gone, who pours the coffee
and why is it only Kazu?
Why is it only Kazu?
Here you have the answers to that.
Exactly. Here you have the answers for that. So I think that's the main part that drew me to
that was the most interesting part of this whole thing, to be honest.
Exactly.
So if you want to know more backstory on why Kazu is the one who pours the coffee, and maybe a bit of history about the cafe itself, then read this. But if you're not really that interested, then stick to the first book only. You're not missing out much, just only that part.
Exactly. I summarized pretty well in this one. I think, but this one can also in a way it can be read before the other one. This one can be considered as the main book, and that one can be considered a prequel.
But if this was the main book, it wouldn't be that interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
The first book was way better than this one.
Because I feel like the previous book left us with a lot of mystery.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions. But this one, it clarifies everything, which is good for a duology. At the second book, khalas, it ends everything. Closes all the gaps. Just
wrapped up everything. But it was kind of underwhelming. I don't know. We get a lot of information, and the questions get solved. But I don't know. It doesn't feel as exciting as the first book. And maybe it was meant to be that way. The first book was supposed to draw you in, and then they'll give you the answers later on. But I kept waiting. It's like when you order something and the anticipation is killing you, but then when you actually get handed the thing, you're just is that all? It just feels that way. But it was still good. Was it excellent? No. But it was good. It was good. So
3 stars.
3 stars.
I think.
Is that your review?
I think I'd give it 3 stars. But anyways, generally, for me, when I think of this, I keep going back to the point that it's a play, and it makes me feel like I want to see the play more and more. I wish they would bring it to Dubai Opera.
Do they have it?
I don't think
Korea,
it's
like,
still
is
in
it-
Japan, you mean? But
Japan, sorry.
but I don't think it's
Yeah.
showing now. I don't know. Is it showing?
We haven't checked, but if it's showing, we would love to go and
Yeah.
see it like live. It would be so cool, especially that we've read the books, so it'd be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it won an award, so maybe.
Yeah, it had a lot of awards. I mean, well deserved. The concept is very creative.
Yeah, I
so
think, yeah, definitely. But I wonder how that works, you know, like in a play. Yani how that, you know, when they go to the past, how does that, you know, like the way that people travel to the past is that, yeah, and the scene kind of changes all of a sudden.
it does change, but I think in the theater they just like play with the lights and music, and maybe they close the curtains for a few moments.
Probably, yeah.
And like the changes happen really
See,
fast.
that's what I would like to see. Yani
Yeah.
that's the part I would love to see,
Yeah.
like in front of me.
It would be so
the creative,
cool.
the creative thinking and the creative
the execution
of the whole play.
Yeah,
I think that's one thing that I would love.
I would love to
Yeah.
see that as well. It would be so cool to experience all of that. So yeah, are these your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think these are my final
Is this
thoughts. I
like
don't have
You've
anything.
summed it up.
Yeah, I don't think I
Khalas.
have anything else to add.
Me too. I don't think I have anything else to add. I think
But
these are.
you know what I found weird actually is that like there's one chapter here with the same name as the one in the previous one.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be related, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
I think it just like had kind of the same concept, like the same dynamics.
Yeah.
But yeah, like most of these stories weren't really that interesting. The
Yeah.
first book had more interesting stories. Like the customers, I guess, were more interesting, and their tales were more tragic, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was more.
That is how it felt, to be honest.
Something else I want to talk about is the cover art. So this one, so because there are 3 clocks in the coffee shop, so these
Yeah.
are the 3 clocks.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm very disappointed because there's a cat,
Yeah,
and there's no cat in the cafe. So and the same thing with like the first book.
Yeah, so
It had a cat, so I thought there was gonna be a cat, but that was very disappointing. So
and they're the same cat.
yeah, exactly the same cat, and the cat does not appear in in the story. So yeah, no cat. Boo.
Yeah, so if you bought this book thinking that
There was gonna be a cat, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So that is all for our review of this duology. It was a pleasure reading these books with you, and hopefully we will be back with a buddy read. And yeah, that is all.
That's all.
See you in the next video. Bye.
It has been a pleasure reading this book with you. I think it's been. It has not been a pleasure reading this book with you.
Let's be serious.
Okay.
I said let's be serious. Let's why am I smiling?